Hello everybody, I am Alina Popa and together with my co-host Whitney Jones, today we welcome you to a new episode of FEMME FLEX Friday. Today we have a special episode on judging criteria for the new class that IFBB Pro League and NPC introduced, wellness. And we have top judges here, our head judges Sandy Williamson, Steve Weinberger and Tyler Manion, ready to share their knowledge and their experience on this division with us. Welcome guys.
Thank you.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
So let's dive right in. Now, Tyler, we're throwing it to you because I know this has been a big part of something that you've pushed, seeing that there was interest out there worldwide. So tell us how it came to fruition that wellness was a new division for the IFBB.
So wellness has, been around in different parts of the world for a while, and going actually to South America a couple of years ago, probably about 3 years ago when we first started expanding, a lot of people down there were saying, we need wellness down here, we need wellness. And I had actually no idea what it was at first. So went down there and we said, okay, you know what, we can try it. Obviously, we're not going to give out we're not going to offer a chance to go professional yet until we see what it's all about and see what the interest is and everything. And the woman showed up for this class. Like, it was crazy, not even just in Brazil, but in Colombia as well too. So the rest of South America. So then once we saw that, these athletes were very high quality, I said, this would be another great addition to the female side because, female body types, some females have a hard time fitting into even, figure or bikini when slimming down their lower bodies. They have an athletic and muscular build in their lower bodies. So I thought it was a great look and something that could, help contribute to the league.
What do you think, Steve, how big does the upper body have to be in comparison with the lower body?
A little, maybe just a tad bigger than figure.
Okay.
That's it.
No, bikini.
That's it.
Bikini. A little bigger than bikini. Yeah.
Bikini. Just a tad bigger.
So it's a little bit bigger. It's the water he's drinking.
Is that really water you're drinking, Tyler? Let's be honest.
Just a tad bigger, not much.
Okay. But the legs need to be way bigger, right?
Right.
Yeah,
they need to be very
bigger.
muscular. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, and is there conditioning that is going to be rewarded on that, or lack of it? Like, does it have to be softer, rounder? What are we looking at?
You want we want to see a slight separation, in their quads. We don't want to see, we don't want to see striations. We don't want to see really, really separated, like how, the figure girls lock out their legs. You can see the clear separation in their quads. We don't want to see that. We want to see a slight separation. So bikini, we don't really want to see any separation. We want to see a slight separation with wellness. From the back pose, we want to see obviously, because they have more muscle as well, they're going to seem a little bit harder than the bikini conditioning from the back, but that's it. I mean, when you look at some of the top girls that have already qualified for the Olympia, you can see the type of conditioning that we're really trying to reward.
And now, Sandy, posing. Posing is different for wellness than bikini. And truly, people do not realize this. They want to do wellness, and I see people in the gym practicing. I see it on Instagram, and they are mimicking the exact same bikini posing, but it is different. Can you speak to that to explain some of the changes between those two divisions?
Well, it is, because even, first of all, we're going from all four sides, where bikini, obviously, it's a front and back. Okay. And when you're doing wellness, you want to highlight your posing, should highlight your legs, should highlight that roundness and the depth to the glute. Because getting back to conditioning, where Tyler said, lots of times people don't realize it's the development underneath, that depth in the glutes that are going to make you look a lot leaner. You know what I mean? And so people think that there's this big, difference in conditioning, and it's not. It's the amount of muscle that they've developed in their glutes and their legs underneath. That is going to give them that look. But that's what you really want to do. You want to highlight when you're posing, whether you're posing from the front, the side, and actually the poses that we have listed, as the poses on the NPC site are really the poses, because again, we've looked at, like I've been lucky enough to go down to South America, to Brazil and stuff, and those girls present their physiques in a very good way, and that's where a lot of those poses came from.
And that's a great point too, Sandy. I think for all the athletes, anyone who's tuning in, who's curious about the division or who's currently prepping for wellness, on NPC News Online, there is a ton of content. There's videos, there's pictures that silhouette exactly what they're looking for posing. Tyler, you've done multiple videos, even recently, about the division. So we can't cover everything here on this episode, but there's so much in-depth information for any athlete who's still unsure about what exactly they need to do in order to bring their best for the division.
Tyler, do me a favor. Talk about what, from a judging standpoint, what we're looking at when the girls are posing from either side with the development of the legs and stuff.
Yeah, so from whenever they're hitting one of the side poses, we're really, we're taking into account obviously their whole entire physique, but when we're looking at the legs, we want to see, I guess I could do it with my hands, their quads and their hamstrings, they need to have shape to it. You don't want to be locking out your leg and squeezing your quads. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be, a little bit relaxed, where we can see the development in the quads from the side and the development in the hamstrings, and obviously the development in the glutes as well. But you want to be showing off your development there. You don't want to be squeezing. You don't want to be bending your leg too much on the side and squatting down too much.
Yes.
So we're looking at, that's a huge thing. That's where our eyes go first, is right to the lower body on the side pose, So that's the first thing the judges see.
But this is where I think when you were talking about the bikini, I think a lot of the girls are trying to pose more like the bikini do, that's their side pose, their front pose and the side, and they lose a lot of showing us the depth of the hamstring and the roundness and the depth to the glutes.
Okay.
Yes, I agree with you.
How was the turnout of competitors inside United States in the contest inside United States last year?
It was actually great. It was amazing for how crazy this past year was. I honestly didn't know how the turnout for wellness would be, but it seems like a lot of girls like this new division. I can only see it growing from here, so I'm very excited about that.
And that's a question I have. So Steve, obviously you were around when Bikini was launched. And so there's now talk about wellness being the new bikini, but even bigger. Do you guys anticipate wellness to be the number one, most popular division, say in 3 years?
It's definitely going to be the fastest growing division in the next 3 years.
Okay.
I think it'll grow leaps and bounds. It really will be. I don't know if it'll be number one, but if not, it'll be right up there. It really will. It's such an exciting division, and it gives women a chance to really train hard, especially with women that just like big, muscular, strong legs and don't want that big, massive body to match it. So I think it is going to be huge and possibly number one.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised.
And I agree, Steve, because like we talked about when Tyler said, there's so many women that we're getting now from an athletic background, whether it's soccer, volleyball, basketball. And so they already have that development in their legs. And for women, we're not built with the V-taper that most, men have. And so I just see this division lending itself to so many more women that maybe started competing and then, like you said, for figure, bikini, couldn't get that balance, type thing. They were, and I definitely think it's gonna, grow.
Absolutely. And we'll be right back at you with more news from the wellness division after this commercial.
People always ask how I got here. I was willing to work just a little harder than everyone else. Every damn day. If I can have hundreds of hours back, I'm gonna grab them. Spending hours prepping chicken, rice, and vegetables, F that. I rely on perfect nutrition. I rely on Trifecta.
And we're back, and we want to know what are the new rules for this year, 2021. Tyler, do you want to help us out?
Yes, so for this year, we have added pro cards to Junior USA and Junior Nationals for wellness. The rest of the national shows will be the same, dealing with pro cards as they were this past year. And then for Masters Wellness, we're going to give Masters Wellness the opportunity to finally earn pro cards this year. They'll be able to go to Masters Nationals, North Americans, the Universe, and Masters USAs. So the Masters Wellness competitors, you're going to have your opportunity to earn your pro card this year.
And then, of course, Olympia. You guys added wellness to the Olympia this year, which is very exciting. And was that something that came about as a pretty easy decision, or did it take a little work?
Yeah, so our plan was always to add it this year in 2021 to the Olympia.
Okay.
We wanted to, build it up the past 2 years, and then now we're seeing, we're filling the pro ranks with wellness competitors. And this year, actually, also we made a special thing for wellness competitors only, because we don't have as many wellness pro shows as we do other divisions yet. It's just still a growing division. So we want to make sure, we get, hopefully in the double digits for girls on stage, hopefully around 12, 14 girls. So the top 2 at wellness pro shows, in the Olympia qualifying shows this year in the time limit will be able to go to the Olympia. So it should be a very exciting Olympia. I know, with the other divisions, men's physique, women's physique, bikini, every time a division was added, the first Olympia means a lot. So it should be very exciting.
So it's top 2 in every pro show for 2021.
Correct.
That's great news.
It is.
I like that.
I know. The athletes better get ready. The season's starting. Let's go. Now, one question I have too is that I was fortunate enough to travel to a lot of these international countries for the Arnold. And I will say, and you can speak to this as well, it seems like all the gyms overseas, they have amazing leg equipment, all about glutes, booty, whatever. And that's so different from the United States, because sometimes in the United States, you're like, where's the glute equipment? I can't find it. It's just bands. So do you feel that wellness is right now or currently more popular overseas than it is in the United States?
Personally, yes, I think so right now. But I think it's gained, even from this past year, from when we started really back up, in July and August to the end of the year, you could see how much steam it really gained in just half a year. So
yeah,
I know that all the American women, all they hear about is South America, or hear about, oh, these girls coming from here, these girls over there. So I know they're like, no, we're going to show like we're just as good as them. So I know they're motivated. So I think it's gonna really pick up. Like Steve said earlier, it's gonna gain a lot of traction.
You know what, real quick too, because when I went down to the last Brazil show that I did, probably obviously 2 years ago, one of the big trainers down there, Anna, hit me up because she was training 16 girls in the U.S. already for wellness shows.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that, I brought back, to Jim and Tyler and stuff, and said, if we don't have wellness, they're training for wellness somewhere, you know what I mean?
Sure.
And stuff. So we already have women in the US that have been training, because like I said, that division just lends itself to so many women with athletic lower bodies.
Yeah.
And what are some of the best physique nowadays at this point in the development of the division that would best represent the division right now, do you think?
So
I know that there are already 4 girls qualified for Olympia: Franciel Matos, Angela Borges, Giselle Machado, and Maria Paulette.
Yes. So Franciel and Angela definitely are some of the top girls that I would advise. Actually, I do whenever I talk to wellness competitors, look at their physiques. That's wellness, I mean, it was very tight between them down at the show in Brazil at the end of last year. I know Angela will be competing, I think, at the Pittsburgh Pro and maybe the New York Pro this year. We have some girls that their background isn't American, but they're from America, Yarishna, at Isa Pereira. So they're all going to be competing, I think, in these first runner wellness shows beginning of this year. So I would advise amateurs to look at these girls. And then also as well, even look to the girls here in the U.S. that won their pro cards at the national shows.
Yeah.
We had great winners, great overall winners. So the quality's there, and that's the look. So we're already establishing the look. So
I will say, I was surprised at the quality of the wellness girls at these national shows. It's like, dang. And you look at them like, they're not pro yet? Oh, it can't be. We're not at a pro show. But the talent and the quality is unreal.
I think that's why it's going to make the Olympias so amazing this year because you have a lot of top girls that have never gotten on stage together.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And obviously, I'm sure, like you said, you'll see some of them at Pittsburgh and some of them at New York Pro, but they're still not all going to be together at any one of those shows. So by the time you get to the Olympia, it should be really interesting on, which of those ones walk out with that title.
Absolutely.
Not an easy job for you guys.
Not an easy job for you, but really exciting times for the sport and for the competitors.
Yes.
And switching gears a little bit right now, Steve, I know that New York is it's a very tough situation right now, right there.
Horrible in New York right now.
How many shows did you actually manage to judge last year?
I didn't judge that many shows last year. In New York?
Just in general, traveling in and out.
But I was traveling. I traveled, yes. The New York Pro was held in Florida.
Yes.
The Universe was held in South Carolina. It was a real puzzle last year. A real puzzle.
So how is it looking right now for you and your gym over there? How is it?
Well, they're opening up New York now, but only with 150 people total. So because of that, the New York Pro will be May 15th in Tampa again this year.
Okay.
And the Universe will be the July 1st through the 5th in South Carolina again because we were still so limited in New York.
Yeah. It's a better way to go ahead just so you can ensure that the contest is going to happen. Athletes can prep.
Yes. Because last year we had it so late in the year because we were so taken, by surprise. This year we figured we'd just have it there so everyone would know where to go, what date to prepare for, what hotels to book, just make life a little easier.
Talking about shows, how's Pittsburgh Pro looking like, Tyler?
Pittsburgh Pro is looking amazing. I honestly, I can't wait. I love to judge that show every year with Stephen Standy. So, it's a title that means a lot to people. And in the divisions we have in Pittsburgh, a lot of the competitors, they want to go back to back with Pittsburgh and New York to try to win the two big titles. So, yeah, it's going to be an awesome show. We have restrictions here in Pittsburgh as well. So we're not sure exactly what they're going to look like the first weekend of May, how we're going to split up the show. You guys were at many NPC shows last year. Everyone ran different depending on what the restrictions were. So, but it's good to go. The venue's working with us. They want to work with us. And the quality's going to be there. So it's just how many people are going to be able to see it. So we'll see.
That's
we'll be ready for that. And then Sandy, of course, Junior Nats is happening this year, and you're involved with that. So give us the details.
Yep, absolutely. Same thing. I mean, obviously, it has new promoters with Robin Chang and Doug Green, and I are going to do it together. And it's going to go down to Chattanooga, Tennessee. Again, just like Tyler, and we weren't sure what restrictions would be around the country, especially, in the northern part of the country. So we decided to find a home for it so that athletes had the date. They knew, where to, how to train for it, but also then where to book their flights and, you know what I mean? And we've had such a good turnout last year in the Southeast already, anyway. And we've got the, Tennessee, district chairman and stuff, him and his wife, both Alan and Beck, have been helping us down there stuff. So yeah, it'll be June 18th and 19th. The men will be on Friday and the women will be on Saturday. And it'll be in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which apparently is a great tourist area. There's a lot of restaurants and things to do there. And it's a convention center. So we have a hotel with kitchens for the athletes and then a Marriott that's connected to it, for the officials. And you're looking at two of my head judges on the screen also, so.
You guys are going to be together a lot this year. You had your break last year, so bringing the family back together and
Tyler, you and I had a break last year?
You don't recall that, do you?
Yeah, I missed that break.
And this is actually a perfect opportunity because we got to have some fun. So we know that you guys know each other really, really well. And we want you guys to each bring the dirt out of the bag. But before we do that, we're going to take a quick break. You guys get ready for this. All right, back for some fun with 3 of the best judges in the industry. We have Tyler, Sandy, and Steve with us. And now we're gonna go into some detail because everyone wants to know more about you guys. And you're all a little quiet, but not anymore. So one thing that I think people are really interested to learn is that Sandy and Steve, you both competed back in the day. Tell us what divisions you competed in, because obviously that's of interest, and when, and your experience. So let's start with you, Steve.
I competed through Bev. Bev did all the competitions. I was Bev's bag carrier.
That's an important role. That is an important role.
That was my role, yes.
You didn't ever compete in any show at all? Never stepped on stage?
Only in powerlifting, never in bodybuilding, no.
Oh, I didn't know that. See, I learned something new myself even. Interesting.
I could have sworn you competed as a bodybuilder.
I trained like a bodybuilder and got in bodybuilding shape, but I never competed, no.
That's because I saw your pictures.
But as a powerlifter, I did, yes.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting. Now, Sandy, so you're the only one that's ever competed on stage?
Sandy said she's going to share a picture of her competition days.
Yeah.
Oh, not a chance. And, but Steve, though, too, you have to remember when you were powerlifting was much bigger than bodybuilding.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, because bodybuilding, we'd go, because I used to help when I competed, you'd go to the bodybuilding. It was the small part of the show. It was all about the powerlifting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What years are we talking about right now?
For me, it was 80 to 84. And because Jim Manion is one of my dearest friends, he'll never show it. But I sent him a picture when we closed down last year when I was cleaning closets about me. Tyler, you'll appreciate this. Standing on Soldiers and Sailors with the trophy. There's not anything that changed from 1982 to the present. Oh, yeah.
Really?
I sent it to Jim, and he said to me, texted me back, and he goes, "It's a small trophy." I said it was 5th place. He goes, "The judges got it wrong." I said, "Of course, that's why I retired and started judging."
Wait a second. If this is a photo, Tyler, we need you on this. We need the details.
Oh, no. Tyler, how many years am I going to be with you? You can decide that right now, hon.
Yeah, no, sorry, guys. I don't know where that photo is.
Because I heard that, Sandy, you're never going to retire, according to Tyler.
Yeah, that's the 26-year-old. We all know where that's going to go.
You're just too loved.
The athlete, that's life. Athletes need, we need younger people coming in. And Tyler knows, we've talked about, he needs younger people coming into the sport. Our athlete, we have so many young athletes now transitioning, out of high school and college, because they still want that ability to compete. You know what I mean? And lots of times when they leave high school or they leave college, that competition, part of their life, usually ends up going by the wayside.
Yeah.
But I'll be around for a few more years.
No, way more than a few more years. Don't have to worry about that.
You are locked in.
He missed telling me happy birthday this year, so he said he missed it, so that means I didn't have a birthday, so it added another year to it.
Yeah, she didn't answer my phone call on her birthday for me to wish her happy birthday, so I said this birthday doesn't count, so it adds on another year.
That's amazing.
She has to stay around.
That's fair. I think it's fair.
You guys leave a legacy behind. You are such prominent, faces and figures of the bodybuilding industry and everything we're doing right now. Steve, do you have a protege that you're grooming to take your knowledge, your experience farther on?
There are, like Sandy says, so many young judges. I mean, Tyler has a great crew, and we're in good hands for the future. We have a lot of judges. There's a lot. There really are.
Which is needed because there's a lot of shows, and a lot of them are on the same weekend, so you got to spread them out anyways.
Yeah, there's a need for a lot of good judges, and honestly, there are a lot of good judges being groomed now, and we're in really good hands.
I like to hear that.
You all know how I feel. I mean, I tell athletes this all the time, and it's not just because he's on. I mean, the NPC has got a great future.
Absolutely. We are spreading everywhere. I love how strong the NPC worldwide presence and IFBB Pro League goes overseas. It's everywhere. We almost got every country right now. Yeah. Right, Tyler?
That's the goal. We got to get everywhere.
I love it. Yep. Now, you guys saw a lot last year, and it was a crazy year with the pandemic and the shows on, off. But you guys see crazy stuff on the stage all the time. And so we've got to know from each of you, what is one of the most wild, ridiculous things that you've seen on stage from an athlete that made you just kind of gasp, laugh, whatever? Share some of these stories. Let's start with you, Sandy.
Oh, you don't even give me time to think about this. Oh my God. There's just so, I'm trying to think, there's just so many different, I've been to so many different international places. It was hard to see that Barry DeMay turned 50 the other day. Well, if anybody knows Barry, he's how tall is he, Steve? 6'1",
6'2".
Yeah. And he went to Japan with me. If you've ever seen the beds in Japan, they brought him an extension and it still didn't fit for his physique.
Poor guy.
I'm serious. Oh my God. Steve, you got to help me here.
Steve, Tyler, if you guys have one off the top of your head that you know, because I know you guys see some crazy stuff.
Well, we kind of try to forget that, honestly.
Yeah.
There's so much crazy stuff. I honestly, some of it I wouldn't even want to repeat to give them the satisfaction of the publicity of the things that they've done, to tell you the truth.
Oh,
honestly.
that bad. Yikes.
Well, one of the things that just took us all by surprise, because again, you assume things as judges, that athletes, a lot of them train with trainers and stuff. But the time that we had the fireworks, the girl brought the fireworks out on stage in her routine at the Olympia. At the USA. Remember that, Steve?
Yes.
Yes, John Lindsay's. Oh, yeah, she came out with sparklers.
Oh, that's amazing.
Wow.
It's just like I said, you assume that, like I said, that athletes know certain things, and sometimes, assuming is not the right thing. So yeah, again, lots of years ago, but it did bring a smile and a lot of concern to a lot of people's faces.
I bet.
Yeah.
Tyler, what about you? Any specific memory that sticks out?
Honestly, there's not too many. I think nowadays, with our expediting teams and everything, we catch a lot of the crazy things before they go on stage, which is good. Honestly, there's not too much. There's a couple characters at Steve's New York shows that come on stage, but I know Steve knows who I'm talking about. But yeah, no. Other than that, honestly, everybody's pretty professional out there. Even new competitors that are nervous, I think it makes it easier on them when they don't see crazy stuff going on around them. So
Sure, true.
Well, and you know what? I think, Tyler, too, because I think the quality, it's just our sport's grown so much that we have so many professional people from so many different disciplines now in the sport that has elevated the sport, has elevated the level of the sport because of all the different professions that are, competing in it.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you don't have any stories do you remember in the other federation, I think in Greece, Tyler, when one of the athletes actually jumped off the stage and started beating up a judge?
What?
Do you remember that video?
No way.
That's not going to happen here. I can guarantee you.
It will, and it punched the judge.
No one jumping off no stages here with no judge.
Yeah, let's not have that happen, please.
No, absolutely not. But crazy things can happen, right? Especially in...
Yes, there's plenty of crazy people out there.
Now, to a point that you made, Sandy, a lot of people have coaches they work with or people who are familiar with the industry, but not everyone does. So if you had to speak on one thing that's a no-no that maybe is a common mistake that athletes make on stage, give us some quick tips on things that you should absolutely avoid.
Well, I think the biggest thing for new athletes coming up, because I will say our true novice division, even last year through the pandemic, grew, was so much stronger than I ever would have thought. Because you all know, getting on stage is hard no matter what. But to get on stage for the first time through a pandemic with gyms and stuff, it really did, it did amaze me. I think probably the biggest thing is just the presentation and how much time they spend on stage. Mm-hmm. Like I said, we talked about it earlier, Tyler, before you came. I just think that if they practiced for 30 seconds, because, unfortunately, they don't watch a lot of probably the amateur athletes. They watch you, the pros, and they see how much time, because you do get more time as a professional. And so I think they think that that's important. And so they try to spend a lot more time, and they get flustered if they go to a bigger show where, that amount of time is not allotted.
It's a great point.
I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I think the biggest thing for new competitors is they need to make sure they work on their posing a lot. beforehand, because also when you're your first time on stage, you're going to get nervous. You're going to look down and you're going to get nervous. So you got to it's as important as dieting and everything else with the show. You can't present your physique, and we can't, we're judging you on what we see. That's it.
You know what? And I think that comes to play too with our, we have so many shows now that have, you can cross over. If you're a competitor, you don't know whether you belong in this division or that division. So you'll do like 2 different divisions to see where your body fits out and stuff. And lots of times too, they do like a different age class. So they'll come out and compete against some athletes in one class, but then like a half hour, an hour later, they come back out and compete. And if it was close in one class, they might end up beating that other person in the other class, and athletes can't understand. And they don't realize that sometimes those nerves and just that comfortability gets a little bit better, so that when you come back, you've already been on stage once and you're not quite as nervous and you kind of know what to expect. So you do present your physique a little bit better than you did the first time around.
Yep, so obviously presentation is a big part, but how about you, Steve? What's your biggest pet peeve when it comes to athletes on stage? Something that you really don't want to see.
When they take too long and they sit there and they just go on posing and posing, like what Sandy said before, showing us too much. Just hit your poses, don't hit extra poses, don't start winking, don't start throwing
finger guns.
Extra.
I don't think
exactly.
That's not your number one pet peeve, though.
Oh, what is it? Tyler, share. Spill it.
Tyler?
Elbows.
What? Oh, when they elbow each other to make space?
I hate when they elbow each other.
I love when you're on the
like
mic,
that.
though, and you regulate that pretty quickly. I love it.
Yeah, I hate when they elbow each other. When they're looking for extra space and pushing guys around. I don't like that. Tyler is right.
And Steve,
Tyler is right.
It's funny when I do a men's IFBB show and they don't listen to me quite like they listen to you. I always say, pretend I'm Steve Weinberger. Get on the line and do what you need to do.
Straighten it up.
How about you, Tyler? What's yours?
I'm with Steve. I even did a video on it. I don't like the elbows at all. There's no, actually it makes the guys pose worse. They don't pose great at all when they're worried about elbowing someone or getting in front of someone. I even said, if you take a step actually the opposite way and take a step behind the competitors, our eyes are going to look to you first because you're doing the right thing and probably your posing rate as well. I've seen guys that are elbowing and stuff and they have a good physique, but once they start the elbows, they can't get into a pose again because they're worried about space. They end up going from the middle to the end because they ruin their posing and they can't get back into it. So I'm with the elbows. That irritates me too because it doesn't do anything other than cause problems.
Ruin their lats. It ruins their lats. They can't open their lats up.
Yep.
One lat's open, one lat's closed.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And if you're really an athlete, you need to show sportsmanship.
Yes.
On that stage, you know what I mean, to your fellow competitors.
Yep.
Agreed.
Sandy, how about the diagonal position when the girls are in a diagonal or waiting and there's a comparison in the middle? How important is the presentation in that line?
Well, and I tell athletes this all the time. It's important because lots of times if we're looking at whatever the comparison is, some of the judges might have already placed the girls that we're looking at in the middle. Now they're looking to see who they want to see in the next call out, or maybe they're still deciding on between one or two girls. So they're going to keep looking, at those athletes on the side. So it's as important, you know what I mean? We always say, and I truly mean this, from the time you walk out on that stage till you walk off, you need to be at your best.
Absolutely. I see many times competitors that just don't flex anything. They stay there with their hands on their hips and they're looking at the sky. And I'm like, show something that's flex your quads. Show your side. Show your beautiful flowing lines.
You're 100% right. We're judging all the time. Once you're on that stage, we're judging you, whether you're in that lineup or outside that lineup.
And I think that's a great thing that Tyler, you mentioned, because a lot of people, you can't choose where the people stand next to you. So if they're boxing you in, I know a lot of athletes think they're not allowed to move. And that's further from the truth. I mean, you've worked so hard on your physique. You can easily move forward, move back, just so you have your space. But I see it all the time. I've heard it backstage. Someone was boxing me in, and it's like, well, move. As an athlete, you have that choice. You guys don't.
the problem is always when they try to step over the line and keep coming closer to us. If you take a step back, no one's going to be fighting you, and then all of a sudden you're posing, you're standing still. Trust me, it like all of a sudden we look and like if you look good and you're hitting your poses correctly, that's going to help you. But going forward and elbowing and everything, it's not going to help. So it's always better to take a step back than to take a step forward for fight.
There you go. Wow. What an amazing amount of information, Whitney.
Yes.
Right?
We've discussed all the criteria from all the divisions, and I know everybody is excited for the 2021 season. I know you guys are. You get to see each other almost every weekend. Are you so excited?
Of course.
We'll run into you quite a lot. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your knowledge and guiding all of these athletes that are going to chime in and see what we have talked about. Thank you so much. And we're looking forward to seeing you next time. And guys, thank you for being here with us today. Catch us on our next episode of FEMME FLEX Friday.